And if you need to talk to one another, leave quietly and then come back if you want. If you are recording, please remember that members of the public have to consent to being recorded, and that consent is not to be presumed. Let's start the meeting with 15 minutes of public participation, which we can be flexible with within reason. It is unacceptable to use language like lying, and unacceptable to be insulted. Please be respectful to each other, council and councillors. Please speak only once for a maximum of 3 minutes, and only once I let you know if and when it is your turn. Okay, now show of hands. Anyone want to say? Hands.
Excuse me. Good evening all. Ant Taylor says that I'm chairman of the local cricket club. I think this is a real positive tonight. Us as a club, we've looked at both proposals thoroughly. We've looked through all of them, and there's an underlying tone in all of them. There's some right for the village that wants to be done in both proposals, and I think we can see that. For us as a cricket club, we only see positive things on the green. We only see children playing sport, Usher still trying to play sport, dog walkers, other activities going on there. And my hope and the hope of our club is that we just remove the negativity now. There's been a lot of negativity over the 6 months, especially towards sports clubs, and us included, to the point that I've had to take posts down where we've been criticised unnecessarily in them, I would say. But now I think there's a real time for everyone to get together, really push forward, and for the better of the children, and ultimately for us as a club, and to continue to grow the club.
Thank you. Anyone else? Joe?
Yeah, I'm Joe Wilcox. I live in the village, Wiltshire Green, I'm kind of not as familiar perhaps as a lot of you, not being on the Facebook page, thankfully.
Not everybody here is on the Facebook page.
Of course, I'm sure not. I've got 2 young children in the village, and I play a bit of cricket, not that regularly. I grew up in a small village much like this, and I think a pavilion is something that not many things can bring generations together, but I think a sports pavilion can. I mean, I grew up playing as a 13, 14-year-old, sitting in a pavilion after games with people who are 50, 60, 70, and I think that's something that villages struggle with, that generational kind of bridging. I think, putting sport to one side, I think that'd be a really healthy thing. I think that's something that this village perhaps struggles with a little bit. I think that's a good idea.
Okay, Chris?
Good evening, my name is Chris Roberts. Just a brief statement from the charity Hatfield Broad Oak Sports and Community Club for both here this evening and also for the councillors. As trustees, the Hatfield Broad Oak Sports and Community Club, we've been clear throughout the last 18 months about our intentions and motivations. In simple terms, we're to enhance every aspect of the village green for the benefit of everybody in the Hatfield Broad Oak Parish. For each of us as trustees, the motivation is different, but for each of us, the motivation is both authentic and honourable. We also recognise that whilst words are important, it is action that will make the difference. We set out very clearly our plans in a leaflet that went out to the whole of the parish recently, and should this evening's motions move in our favour, please be assured you will see positive delivery against those plans, and we do intend to build a pavilion. You will see considered sensible actions as we move forward through the summer and beyond that safeguard the village green for generations to come, including the appointment of 2 community trustees. Our hope is that many more parishes will use the village green and will enjoy it, and this magnificent asset that we are blessed with will continue in this parish for many, many years to come. Thank you.
I just want to, first of all, thank you all for the time you put into this. I know it's been a long slog, and you have done a thorough job in all of that. From my point of view, obviously playing cricket up there and having children play sports up there, I am very hopeful that it will continue to be for that purpose that the landowner wanted it to be for. I also think that with the growth that's happened up there through the village as a whole, having professionals, no disrespect to them, now running that, I think is the only sensible course of action to make sure that it is actually properly done for the future. We can then bring back any issues that are up there and basically improve it for the benefit of the whole village.
Chairman, parish members, a commitment was given by the parish council in minute 2489 to residents before any move could be made to assign the lease. That commitment has not been fulfilled. Therefore, if you wish to proceed as you outline on your agenda tonight, will you honestly admit to lying to the parish members, because the commitment is quite simple and it has not been fulfilled?
Can't recall what you're actually talking about.
Well, they are your minutes, and you signed them actually as an accurate copy. The commitment was given on behalf of the chairman of the meeting that the accounts would be published of the sports clubs before the assignment went ahead. I haven't seen them published, no one else has, and every time they're asked for by any of the other items, they're not produced.
No commitment has been given to that extent.
Councillor Artis confirmed that the trustees and clubs would provide full financial information and it would be published.
I don't believe I would given that commitment. I said at the public.
Would you like a copy of those?
Yeah, sure, by all means.
I've produced enough copies. I just want to know why you've given a commitment before the,
Can I answer the question?
and it wasn't there, yes.
I said at the public engagement session that it was not within our power to get anybody to commit.
I will acknowledge that. It's not, you do not have the power, but that really binds the parish council. It doesn't bind the clubs.
Can I finish my answer? I said at the public engagement session that it was not within the power of the parish council to demand or commit anybody to produce any financial information. And that was always the case. I was accused of making that commitment before, but that's never been the case.
That commitment does not bind the clubs, but it does bind the parish council. So you need to find a way to encourage the clubs to produce the documentation, and I'm sure you can find a way, and then publish it so that you can proceed, as you outlined, having fulfilled this commitment.
Thanks, Chairman. For those of you who don't know, I'm John McLean. I'm speaking as an individual, but I am a trustee of Boost. I'm sadly not surprised by the recommended outcome for this evening, nor any of the Boost trustees. There's been a clear plan throughout around which I would class as predetermination around the outcome of this process. It began actually with our first presentation to the parish council, where actually as chairman and the only one that's actually declared his interest in the process actually was invited to stay in that meeting. So by a member of HBOSCC being in the presentation, so that was the start of it, but also then the very biased questionnaire that was put out, and the interpretation of the questions that have also been put out. So all of that is not a surprise to us, and it's provided a very clear audit trail for us for the future. I just wanted to apologise to the hundreds of people in the village who have offered their support to Boost, to me personally as a trustee, but to lots of the other members and who came to our meetings and engaged with us. And I'm sorry that we're not able to deliver on the promises that we made to you in those meetings.
Anybody else?
Yeah, several points. One, the minutes of the parish meeting has been sent to you. There were comments which I was worried about, so I have checked it to make certain that there is no actionable libel in those minutes, and I request that they are uploaded to the council website as soon as possible. 2, the dates for the end of year, for financial end of year, you have to have them available for residents to view all the accounts and all the invoices And at least from the 1st of July to the 14th of July, council needs to set that date quickly and advertise it. 3, there was a leaflet sent out to the village updating what had happened. That leaflet was paid for, the printing of it was paid for by Councillor Strutt, who is a trustee of the charity, and when I put that leaflet through AI, it came back that it was biased in favour of HBOSCC. All right, 4, tonight's background papers. If you intend to vote yes to anything on this particular background motions, you should have read in detail and reread every single item that is there, all 280 pages, to make certain you fully understand the legal background and all the details, because actually there is no legal advice on an assignment. If you haven't read and fully understood it, even if you've read it and if you haven't really understood every single bit of it, then you have to vote no. You should be asking questions. You should ask to see the financials as you are considering a contract. You can't consider a contract unless you have seen the financials of the company you are likely to make a contract with. This whole process, in my opinion, is a disgrace. I remember an informal meeting during COVID when Councillor Strutt and Archers were present, who Councillor Strutt then said he thought we were meeting to talk about a sublease. In my opinion, many of you have been less than honest in what you've said to the village at election time. Some of you, in my opinion, came onto this council with the express intention of doing what you are doing tonight. I believe that the votes tonight are predetermined. If you vote yes, you will be remembered by many, many people. The poll showed that people were unhappy, and you've not attempted to do any proper survey to see what people want. You are happy to take their money, but it seems that you are scared to ask people what they really want. And I, for one, if you asked people properly and the answer had come back, yes, we want to give away the village green, yes, we want to give it away to HBOSCC, I would be happy. But I believe that you should have asked, because that was part of your promises in one of your minutes earlier this year, that you would actually contact and relate to people.
Hear, hear. Well done.
Thank you. Apology for absence. The meeting is now live on Teams. So apologies for absence. We've had apologies from Councillor Murphy. This is an EGM, there's no need to vote on that, it's just for everyone to know. Declarations of interest. We go around the table, starting with now Riedel, Hunt. Myself, I have a non-pecuniary interest for all matters relating to the Green Screen. As trustee of the HBO Sports and Community Club, chair of the HBO Youth Football Club, committee member of the HBO Cricket Club, and the secretary of the HBO Chamber Food Club. Councillor Roberts, any declarations?
No, none for me.
Councillor Craig, Councillor Spedman.
I am an employee of St Mary's School and I'm treasurer and secretary of St Mary's Church.
Okay. Over to the chair to Councillor Artis.
Good evening, everybody. I will now, as your Vice Chairman, second Vice Chairman of the meeting. As I said, or has been said on many occasions, this has been a difficult journey for us all. But before we commence this section of the meeting, I'd just like to reassure councillors and members of the public the difference between predetermination, which has been mentioned here, definition, and predisposition. Predetermination of who's called profit is, of course, unlawful. It is where a councillor has decided the outcome in advance and is not willing to listen to debate or new evidence. This is unlawful because public decisions must be made fairly and impartially and in public. Predisposition, on the other hand, is councillors having a view before making a decision at council. Councillors are allowed to have a view on an issue, express those views before a meeting, and even campaign or publicly support an issue, as long as the issues are considered in the decision-making process. The Localism Act 2011, section 25(2), specifically allows a decision-maker to have previously indicated or expressed a view, including during an election campaign, without it amounting to predetermination. Expressing a preference in a report, for example, ranking proposals, noting strengths and weaknesses, is part of a proper decision-making process. It is not determination according to the law. For example, in our case, if councillors review both proposals, discuss them and formed a provisional or indicative view, they are simply predisposed, which is entirely lawful. There was another matter which has been suggested, which is a matter of bias in decision-making, can also be legally problematic. If, for instance, a council makes a decision based on a personal dislike rather than merit, I would reinforce that the Village Green Committee has based its recommendations completely on the merit and suitability of the proposals, whilst councillors may have expressed opinions on the personnel, and recommendations and decisions are based on merit alone and not any views of any individuals involved. Just to reassure the councillors that what we've done is perfectly acceptable.
The monitoring officer in 2013 found you to be biased and told you not to get involved in this. The monitoring officer in 2013 wrote a report.
Can we stop the meeting? You have been told, members of the public have been told this is a council meeting. Show some respect.
What you're saying is not accurate.
Let us.
You have shown yourself to be biased. The monitoring officer wrote a report which is publicly available, saying that you, personally, Councillor Artis, as an experienced councillor, this is what they said, this is a direct quotation.
Can we stop the meeting, please?
You haven't continued the meeting.
No. You had your chance. Please show some respect to everybody and let's just continue with the meeting.
You show some respect by saying what is accurate. You were
If
shown to be
If you
biased.
have an issue, then perhaps you should take it up with the monitoring.
Sorry, have you stopped the meeting, closed it, or what have you done?
No, I haven't. I'm done. If you have an issue, take it up with the monitoring officer. Please don't interrupt.
It was
our
taken
meeting.
up with the monitoring
Please don't
officer and they
interrupt our
found you to be
meeting.
biased.
The first motion is to recommend the assignee. And the motion is, this council has considered all the information issued by HBO Sports and Community Club and Boost, together with the reviews and ratings provided by councillors for the approved assignment suitability criteria assessment, and internal and external reports and advice published for the Village Green Committee on the 16th of June 2025, and hereby accepts such and resolves to accept the unanimous recommendation of the Village Green Committee, and therefore approves and confirms the assignee for the whole of the Village Green lease as the HBO Sports and Community Club. Can I have a proposal for that, please?
I'll propose that.
Can I have a seconder for that, please? Thank you. Discussion. So I know you've all read the extensive documentation that's been prepared to enable you to make a decision on the identity of the assignee, and I thank you all for your patience and hard work. Can I go around the table and ask if any councillors wish to raise any matters relating to that motion? Councillor Webb.
Well, I've always had a problem with the assignment as opposed to the lease. The problem with an assignment is should anything go wrong, the assignment goes back to the landowner, the parish council, whereas with the sublease, we've never actually, I've never got my head around the assignment as opposed to a sublease. And that's my problem with the assignment. So if whoever runs it, Boost or this HBO, if they fail, we hope they wouldn't, then the landlord gets it back. Parish council, that's my worry.
No,
That's my worry. It's always been
Okay, I fully understand that, and I think, I fully understand that, and I think we have addressed that in separate agreements which are mentioned under agenda item 2560.
But it's still struggling to work out just how that will work.
Okay, acknowledged. Councillor Stead.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody from HBO SCC and Boost for all their efforts in preparing the presentations that they brought to the Council. As you know, I've raised concerns and reservations throughout the process where I felt I haven't had sufficient information to make informed decisions or to complete due diligence. I'd like to reference the suitability criteria, and I want to state that I felt that I could not complete the matrix as I felt I couldn't complete the survey where every question had to be answered and there was no option for I don't know, and I didn't feel able to score anything with a 5 as I felt that that would skew the outcome. Additionally, I was not quite happy with the designing, the collating and the producing of the reports all being down to one person, and I have highlighted that before. I'd like to return to due diligence, and I refer the Council to Resolution 2494 from last October. We agreed to follow external auditors' requirements. And in the HBO SCC budget, there's £13,000 due from the clubs every year. And I still believe that sight of their accounts, even if only for the councillors, is relevant. I don't know what the split of that 13,000 is between them, but it is relevant as if, like the council, the clubs have to pay up front. On page 10 of the charity's business plan, the clubs are stated to have confirmed this arrangement that it is affordable for them and their agreement towards the maintenance and improvement plans. I haven't seen this confirmation, but I hope that it is in place. It would have been nice to have had the opportunity to have another community engagement session with the charity so we could have viewed both the Boost and charity ones at roughly the same time. We've also noticed that the charity business plan has been amended and there's an entry in that of 2,500, which appears to me the charity are looking to charge the 10k race for use of the village green. That may be incorrect, I'm unclear. Residents have spoken to me about the concern about conflicts of interest that seem to have dogged the whole process. Both clubs will directly benefit from the disposal, and it stands to reason that anybody connected with those clubs obviously will also benefit. And finally, I'd like to remind everybody of the results of the parish poll and the comments on the notices of disposal. These indicate that the village green as a public amenity space should not be disposed of, and many residents have spoken to me along the same vein. So that was the comments that I prepared earlier, and I'd also like to, if I may, just reiterate Councillor Webb's concerns about assignment versus sublease.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Gray.
Again, thank you to both parties for adding in both applications. I'd like to acknowledge the request for minutes and transparency, and I'd like that to kind of be built in at a later point that we do have transparency around the accounts. I don't know where we would add this in, but if that could be minuted, please.
We can certainly try.
Can I just confirm that the auditors have been updated throughout? Is that correct?
The auditors have been updated throughout. They've been sent copies of the agenda for the Village Green Committee 1 and 2, and all of the background papers and our cognizant of what they're doing.
Okay, thanks. And if HBOCC are successful in the assigned lease, I would actually ask that the village unite around this, and there's somebody in the room that has amazing experience around construction that I think you'd be well aligned, Chris, I'm looking at you, and others within the Boost kind of team that could actually form part of the HBOCC together to unify and use all the knowledge and resources that we've got to make it as good as we possibly can. If that is the outcome of tonight's vote, I would ask that we try and unify the resources and knowledge that we have.
Yeah, I think in the review, the charity if they're successful. Councillor Hart, anything to add?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Councillor B.
I thought survey was very fair, in spite of some of the views of some people. It took me over 2 hours to fill it in, because everything was so close. As you can see, the scores are quite close on the graphs. There's not much between them at all. But I just think, overall, the relationship with the sports clubs is going to be very important in this whole process. So,
Thank you.
I agree with what's been said already. I must say it took me longer than you. I had 2 attempts at it. Yes, but no, I think all the processes that we've gone through are in the background papers. Everything that we've seen, everybody else has had the opportunity to see, and I'm happy with the process genuinely.
Thank you very much. Can I suggest, we have a proposer, Councillor Beals, seconder, Councillor Brown. Can I have a show of hands, please? Those in favour of nominating the HBO Village Green, that's the old name, the HBO Sports and Community Club as the assignee for the lease of the Village Green. Those in favour, please. Those against? Thank you very much. The assignment. This council has previously resolved to confirm upon itself the power of general disposal consent, and now in accordance with the unanimous recommendation of the Village Green Committee, hereby resolves to instruct the council solicitors, Burkett, to provide the assignment document and for the council and solicitors as required to proceed with, sign, execute and register the assignment of the Village Green lease between William Gosling, Esquire and Hatfield Broad Oak Parish Council to the HBO Sports and Community Club, so as to complete the legal transfer of the whole of the lease forthwith. The solicitors did provide a draft version of Form TR1, which was the transfer of the whole of the land. That draft is in fact the final version, with the exception that the final page, which had a provision for the council seal, as we don't have a seal, it's they've sent a revised version the other day, which is included in the background paper, which has a provision for signature. So the motion is, as I said, to resolve to provide the assignment document for the council ministers as required to proceed and sign and execute and register the assignment. So that's the next process. So Hatfield Broad Oak Sports and Community Club have been nominated. This is a motion to sign the assignment between ourselves and the actual sports. So can I have a proposal there, please? Any points to go a different way around the table this time? No? Nothing from me?
I have a problem.
Okay.
Under this assignment, you've already decided that it's going to the HBO Sports and Community Club. Obviously, the landowner, Mr. Gosling, yes, that's obvious. But it already says that it's for the HBO Sports and Community Club.
Well, that's the recommendation. That's the recommendation.
Okay, but it doesn't even mention boost.
No, but that's
or boost.
No,
so
that's the recommendation.
Yeah, I can see the recommendation, but you can see what I mean.
No, I can.
It should say and boost, but it didn't. Was it not enough time?
Okay. Can I have a vote on that, please? To those for signing the agreement. Those against? Recorded vote?
Yes, please.
Right. Recorded vote. Following on from this resolution, the council will need to authorise 2 councillors to sign the assignment in addition to myself as the nominated responsible financial officer. Can I have 2 volunteers to sign the assignment, please?
Committee?
Yep. Okay. Do we, councillors, agree that those 2 people can sign the assignment? Those in favour?
Yes.
Yes, I'm not going to say yes.
Okay. Okay. Separate agreements, which is item 2560, which is what I mentioned earlier on. This council accepts the unanimous recommendation of the Village Green Committee and resolves to facilitate or proceed to obtain legally binding agreements between the relevant parties, landlord, assignee or parish council, to the following additional outline terms. These are terms, remember, that have been suggested by the landlord himself, and that such agreements are to be separate and distinct from the assignment of the lease. So 1, if for any reason the assignee should fail to be a going concern or decide to surrender the lease, the parish council will be given the first opportunity to assume the lease on the same concurrent terms. That's the first one. The landlord has subsequently moved on that slightly and said that it should be the parish council or a Hatfield Broad Oak organisation, but that can be in the drafting. Number 2, the landlord agrees that he will never trigger clause 5.7 relating to the blue strip identified in the lease and therefore removes all benefit enjoyed by those clauses detailed in the lease and on the lease plan accompanying the lease. So the landlord has offered to remove the benefit that he has under the lease for the blue strip, so he will never take it back. And thirdly, the assignee agrees and confirms that no residential property or development not associated with events and sports or the management of the green will be built on the lease land. So those are 3 requirements that the landlord has required to give some additional security to the handing over of the transfer of the land to the sports clubs. Can I have a proposer and seconder that we proceed to try to obtain those agreements? Okay, any comments on that? I mean, I think they're good protections that were required earlier on.
As long as that addition is the HBO community.
Yes.
Community organisation.
Yes. Right. Yeah, I mean that will come in the drafting, but yes. So it will be to the parish council or a community organisation from Hatfield Broad Oak. So first of all, I'll do that amendment. Everybody in favour of that amendment?
Yeah, it's fine. So it will automatically stay within the village. That's what
that clause is meant to do.
That says with the land.
So the amendments are to include what the landlord has suggested, and now can we have a vote to approve that we try to procure that agreement? All in favour? Those against? One against. Okay, the next item, 2561, is notice to the landlord. Following the unanimous recommendation of the Village Green Committee, this council resolves to proceed to notify the landlord of the assignee under the lease as HBO Sports and Community Club. This is a recommendation, so it's confirming the recommendation that we serve the landlord the notice which is required under the lease. It's a procedural thing. Having voted to make the sports charity the assignee, we have to do this. So can I just have a vote on that? All in favour? We've got to do it.
Why does it not say on boost?
Because it's a
It's all the
recommendation.
same.
Because it's a recommendation.
Well, it should say boost as well, shouldn't it? Does the landlord know boost exists? I know he does.
Okay, thank you.
Anyway,
That's,
against that.
did you vote for that or against?
I'm against that because you're fortifying the landlord.
Okay. We have to do
You're
it.
steering him, you mustn't steer the landlord.
We don't have a choice.
We
Sorry.
could say either the Edinburgh Sports Club or those, whoever is the assignee. At the moment, it's not decided, is it?
No, we just decided it was.
Just to notify.
Okay, you're voting against it then?
Yes, I
Okay.
know, yeah.
So, all those in favour, please? 5. Against? 2. Okay. A certified copy of the assignment. This council resolved to provide a certified copy of the assignment to the landlord as required in clause 310(2) and obtain any covenants required in the lease once completed. Again, this is a procedural thing which we are required to do under the existing lease, so I'll go straight to the vote on that. All those in favour of carrying out this procedure? Five.
I'm struggling with this.
Are you against it?
I'm against.
Okay, 2 against.
You didn't get a seconder.
Or a proposal.
Yeah.
For either of those last two.
My apologies. My proposal is second. We have to do it. So, yeah. Okay. Financial regulations. Whilst clause 5.12 of the Council's financial regulations states the requirement to obtain competitive prices in the regulations need not apply to contracts that relate to goods or services that are only available from one supplier, clause 5.13 states that if application is made to waive this financial regulation to enable a price to be negotiated without competition, the reason should be set out in the recommendation to Council. The recommendation is in the next paragraph. So the motion is this Council resolves to accept the unanimous recommendation of the Village Green Committee to waive its financial regulations to enable the price for the management and maintenance of the Village Green to be negotiated without competition.
Does this not have to be notified to the parish? As the parish will pay?
Sorry. All right, finished.
Shocking.
So, can I have a proposal for update? Okay, second, anybody? Okay, thank you. A discussion.
Discussion.
Would you like to say anything?
Well, so if Boo's getting, you don't have to worry about this one.
I've already decided that when it was written before the agreement
Why is it written?
shows that Bruce was never a consideration.
So,
Some may call it predetermination. I couldn't possibly
I
comment.
wasn't going to use that word, but I'm trying to
And nor did I.
That's all I'm asking.
Can I just explain one thing?
No,
These are
you
written-
don't need to explain to me. I
Okay.
know exactly. I've been reading all the notes until I've gone deaf. Not only deaf, blind. But,
Okay,
you know.
good.
Anyway, now you can get it through.
Okay. Do you have any comments on this?
Only that it would have been, in my opinion, better to have included both organisations before the vote was taken throughout this document. I acknowledge that you made the recommendation, but we hadn't voted on that recommendation, and therefore I have to concur with Chris that actually I think that had you written HBOSCC or Boost throughout this document, then it would have been more sensible in my view.
Okay, but I think what I was saying that is that these are motions to accept the recommendation of the Village Green Committee. The Village Green Committee's recommendation was that it be HBO Sports and Community Club, not Boost. That's why Boost is not mentioned, because it was not in the recommendation of the Village Green Committee. So if I can get back to where we were, I think, do we have a proposal and a second for waiving those financial regulations, if we need to?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, all those in favour? Very much. Against? 2 against, okay. 2564, sole supplier. This council accepts the unanimous recommendation of the Village Green Committee and resolves to confirm that HBO Sports and Community Club be designated as the sole supplier as the assignee and holder of the lease, and on the basis of its exclusive possession and management of the land, and that a direct award be contracted for the management and maintenance of Village Green, and that this council ratifies the contract terms as negotiated by the Village Green Committee. Can I have a proposer and second that? The outline terms have been provided in the background papers. Can I have a proposer and second of that? Proposed? Seconded. Okay. Discussion. Councillor Webb, would you like to have a discussion?
Same problem.
Same.
I need to say no more.
Okay, fine. Councillor Stephen.
I have issues with this sole supplier. By making them the sole supplier, the parish council has no rights to whom they appoint to undertake any works regardless of cost.
No, that's not right.
sure of the best value for our residents' money if we have no jurisdiction in that?
There's two questions you raised there. First of all, it's not, the net figure is not £12,000, it's 9,600. And secondly, that's the fixed sum that the parish council will pay. So if it costs the sports charity more to manage the green, that's their responsibility. It's not ours. Which is why one of the main reasons for doing this in the first place, that we've always spent, I know that figure is contested, but we've always spent upwards of £20,000 on this. And to get a figure which is half that is a benefit to the residents and the community and the council taxpayers. So the answer to your question is it won't cost the council any more money.
But we won't have any jurisdictions whether it's a value.
No.
Whatever is.
Well, that's up to the charity to decide what is best value in their subcontractors, if they employ subcontractors.
We'll have to agree to disagree.
Okay, fine.
I have issue with that whole sole supplier.
Okay. That's okay.
No, have that.
Okay. Can I have those in favour then of unanimous recommendation, results confirm the sports and community club designated as sole supplier? Those in favour, please. Those against? Recorded vote. 2565, this council resolves to accept the contract negotiated by the Village Green Committee and further resolves to place a wall forthwith to enable essential repair and maintenance works to proceed. The contract has, as I said, been included in the background papers, and this is a motion to place that contract with the sports clubs at a figure of £9,600, together with the quality requirements that are included in the contract. So, can I have a proposer and seconder for that? Yeah. Okay. Can I go around the table? Any discussion points? No?
No.
Take your time.
The latest contract arrived at 12:30 today by email, and I've not had time to properly review it. I noticed that the HOSCC will get all funds up front, and there's no invoicing. No problem with invoicing. At previous meetings, I thought that it was stated that all expenditure would be invoiced. As it stands, we'll be handing over the taxpayers' money with no real idea of what's being spent on. This contract also, from briefly reading it, or like I say, I haven't reviewed it thoroughly, quantifies funds being received for all the containers, the mowers and other equipment at £6,000. I haven't seen any valuations, and I don't know how that figure has been arrived at. I feel that actually this vote would be better deferred so that we can look into this more carefully. There's also reference in the contract to further parish council expenditure being required, paths, nature area and pedestrian entrance. I would require more details and costings to be carried out to be able to assess this properly.
Can I just do with those one by one? The first one was. Can I just do with those points one by one? If you want to answer.
Well, I got the contract today at 12:30, which didn't give me any time to review it.
No.
I had a brief read of it, but I haven't had time. I like to digest things properly to be able to do that.
Okay.
So the money to the charity is all up front.
Yes.
With no invoicing, yet I am sure that at previous meetings it was stated that all expenditure there would be shown invoices for.
Yes.
So as it stands at the moment, if we're giving it up front, we've got no invoicing, so we're not clear where that's
Well,
going.
the methodology for payment is not defined in the motion, but the invoicing is signed by the club and which was by the parish council. So how that mechanism works is a contractual thing. The next one.
Sorry, you said that how it's dealt with is to be decided by the new clerk.
Well, there will be contract procedures. So
Right.
I mean, we can invite the charity to send an invoice. In fact, that would be the
Don't just
normal
be
way of doing
worried,
it.
say
That would be the normal way of doing it. Otherwise, we would make a grant. So it's a contract. So so we would be paying for the contract. What's the next question?
So we would be paying this money as per the contract, but I'm sure that in previous discussions it was stated, you stated, that all expenditure would be evidence. Whatever we gave them, there would be invoice evidence to confirm that that was actually what they were spending.
Yes.
But by doing this up front, we haven't got that opportunity.
Well, the situation where it was going to be evidence was when we had a range of potential grant funding to the assignee, and I think that range was it 5 to 20,000 or something, and the parish, I can't remember, and that the parish council would only pay on evidence expenditure.
Yeah. So what's different?
So this is different. This is a fixed contract. So this is a fixed contract for £9,600.
So we won't get any invoice evidence of what our taxpayer money is going.
Well, you'll see it over there.
But nothing written.
No.
Okay.
Any other points?
Well, you wanted to go through, so I'm just reading the next bit.
Please do.
Passing on £6,000
Oh, yes.
grant that the parish council obtained for footpaths straight away. So potentially then we're now not giving 9,600, we're giving 15,600. Will that grant be enabled to be passed over? I don't know. What happens if it's not?
If it's not able to be passed over, the council should hand it back.
Well, absolutely, but
So-
what happens as far as the charities are concerned? Are they expecting this money?
Well, that's what we've put in the motion there. If the council aren't able to hand money over to them as a grant, which I'm sure it can, then they will be expected to do the work at their own expense.
Right, okay. So, then also in your contract, it quantifies that the equipment, including containers, mower, etc., is valued at 6,000. How have we come to that figure?
That was done on a straight line depreciation at the time, less the 75% of the major asset purchase, which was the tractor, which was paid for by the sports clubs.
Okay, where is that calculation? And
the
what
parish-
is based on that? Where's the list of assets that is based
They're
on?
all on the parish council asset register, and the previous clerk did the calculation.
Okay, would that not be useful to put that in the background for that management contract?
That's publicly available information.
Okay, so you sent the contract round, but you didn't explain that.
No, that's publicly available information.
Okay, well, I guess I'll have to go and seek that out. But
So-
therefore,
so-
I'm not happy that it's not been included in this contract that's gone round, and therefore adds to my concern that it needs to be looked into more carefully.
Okay, should we? Any other points?
Yeah, the other point was that you also had reference to further PC expenditure on path, nature area and pedestrian entrance. Where's the costings for that?
That's nothing to do with this, with the charity's responsibilities. As I said, we've already discussed the paths. The paths are the responsibility of the charity, and if the parish council is able to, and it will be able to, hand over its grant of £6,000 to the charity, that will be a contribution to their cost, which I understand is upwards of £19,000 for them to repair the paths. That's the first thing. The second thing is the pond, which is the other area, which is, we had a ROSPA report for that, and the ROSPA report has recommended
Sorry, we can't hear with the aeroplane.
Speak up. It's not sense you've made all night.
The parish council has, as part of its normal processes, has a ROSPA report for the recreation ground, but they also encompass the village green and the pond was inspected, and there are certain works which are needed to be done to the pond to comply with the ROSPA report. This was commissioned by the parish council, and therefore the work is going to be done by the parish council, and the village green committee voted, whose responsibility it is, voted to get comparative prices to carry out that work. So the parish council will be carrying out that work if the village green committee accepts the quotes to comply with the ROSPA report.
So the quotes haven't come in yet?
Councillor Beadle is dealing with it. And
They've deemed a lot of areas not safe, so we've got to hand it over in a safe condition.
And also, there was mention of the pedestrian entrance.
Yeah, I think jokingly one was asking whether you'd have to fit oyster-powered machines to enable us to get into the station there, but that was a joke. But because it's pretty important, isn't it? But anyway, there we are. Seriously, the design of it is, well, inadequate to say the least, but when the original entrance was there were two gates, and all that's been put back is one gate, and for events like the 10K race, we had to take away the second part of the fence panel.
And that part of the path that's left not safe.
And it's not safe. So what is really needed there is a new gate, and to make that second part of it safe, which wasn't done when the entrance to our refuge yard was constructed.
The travellers can't get in. Get in there, won't they? When they before it was done, they could have done.
This will only be a small gate, the same as the other one, but that will be the disabled entrance, and then we'll have a public entrance.
I mean, free of charge, we've got a lovely disabled entrance.
That's what I
Whatever
mean.
you say, I mean, okay, the gate, yeah, can be organised.
Yeah, well, that's the
free of charge.
That's the
nice blue lights.
Yeah.
It's nice.
That's
It's the bonus.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's survivable.
But as it stands at the moment, we haven't got options for that.
No. But that's the parish council. That's nothing to do with the contract with the charity.
Have you seen the ROSPA report, Councillor Sim? Have you seen the ROSPA report?
I've seen parts of it.
Sorry. This is out. Yeah.
I have seen the ROSPA recommendations, but what I wasn't clear of is what costings behind it would be, and therefore how much the parish council would be additionally required to pay.
Well, that we'll find out when we get the quotations. It's our responsibility, so we have to do it. Okay, well, thank you. Any other points?
Just to go off the back, I think it would be useful to see how the recommendation would be to add how is the 9,600 allocated each year. So maybe not through invoices, but if the HBOCC could say you contributed to X as an example, it would be useful for parish to see what their money goes to.
Okay, I'm sure we can ask the charity
You
to
don't get the contract,
itemize what they
they
do.
can't give you the information, don't let the contract.
Okay, next. Any other comments?
No.
Okay. This council resolves to accept the contract negotiated with the Green Committee and resolves to place the award forthwith. We have a proposer and seconder. Forgive me, who was it? Okay, all those in favour, please. All those against? Okay, thank you. The next item, 2566, is a transparency notice. This is an interesting one. The council notes the advice of the Village Green Committee that negotiated contract value for the management and maintenance of the Village Green will be below threshold. And Cabinet Office guidance states that under Section 3 of the Procurement Act 2023, below threshold, i.e. £214,000 contracts, are not considered public contracts. However, this council resolves to accept the unanimous recommendation of the Village Green Committee that, should the committee so conclude, it approves the committee issuing a transparency notice in accordance with the Procurement Act and the Procurement Regulations 2024 and any related notices or procurement procedures. So we don't think, advice that I have established is that we don't have to do that because it's not a public contract, it's under 214,000, but we will take further advice, and if we need to publish a transparency notice, then we will. The Act does not say that you have to publish a transparency notice before placing a contract, but you do have to place a transparency notice on the government website if you have negotiated a contract. So that's just a procedural thing which we have to do one way or the other if we find out that we have to do it. So, can I have a proposal second for that? Second. Any comments on that, Chris? It's a procedural thing.
Transparency is a funny word.
Well, it's the government word.
Yeah. The what?
It's the government.
Oh, the government. Yeah. Were they? Yeah.
Precisely.
Yes. I've read that. Yeah.
Okay. You've read it. Okay, good. Any other points on that? No? Okay. Can we move to a vote on that, please? All those in favour? Thank you. Okay. And item 2567. I'm sorry, I always just assumed it was I'm terribly sorry. Those in favour? Yes. Those against? Thank you. Sorry, my apologies for that. Sorry. Further administration requirements. This council is to consider any further administration requirements for the assignment of the lease. So there is, I have two items here which I'd like to introduce. The first is Viridor, who are one of the original funders of the Village Green. And this is, again, simply a courtesy, because we're not legally required to do it, but noting, the motion says, noting the original loan from granted from Viridor, dated 23rd of March 2011, and its letter dated 5th of May 2016, closing its file on the project. This council resolves, as a courtesy, to inform Viridor, which is now Valencia Waste Management, of the assignment, and to continue to assure Viridor that the assignment, which is expressly provided for in the lease, does not limit the public access requirement in the original grant conditions. I do. I'm just changing the word loan to grant. So
I'm just trying to read along with you, and I haven't got it.
here we are. I'll make that change now. There we are. I've just changed the word loan to grant. Okay. Right. So where it says loan, change it. It's purely a courtesy. I'll just read it again. It's a noting the original grant from Viridor dated 23rd of March 2011 and its letter dated 5th of May 2016, closing its file on the project. This council resolves as a courtesy to inform Viridor, which is now the Valencia Waste Management Company, of the assignment, and to continue to assure Viridor that the assignment expressly provided for in the lease does not limit the public access requirement in the original grant conditions, and if deemed necessary, seek to ensure that the assignee enters into any public access covenants that might be required by Viridor in accordance with the grant agreement.
So these weren't in the papers that were published? You're tabling them now?
These are, sorry, it's our meeting, but as I explained earlier, the further administration requirements under 2567.
But you can't put a motion through if it's not on the paper, on the agenda.
And we continue with our meeting.
Not like that, you can't.
Can we continue with our meeting, please? So, I mean, it's just as a courtesy. I mean, either you want to inform her or you don't. I personally would. I think it's a courtesy thing to do.
So, for background, Viridor provided a grant which provided the funding for the groundworks on the village green. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
And part of that was various express conditions that the village green would be open to everybody.
Yes, there are two conditions within the Viridor grant agreement which expressly provide public access.
I haven't seen the copy of that.
Again, it's public.
But you're wanting to do something, you're putting in a motion that's not on the agenda about something that I didn't know that I needed to look at.
Well, yes. All I can say is if you don't want to inform Viridor, let's not inform Viridor.
Well, I don't know if I want to inform Viridor without reading what the original terms are, Keith. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is.
What's the downside of deferring it?
There's no problem.
Well, I would suggest that what happens if Viridor turn around and say, we're not happy with an assignment?
Well, they've closed their file. We have a letter from them saying they've closed their file. This is just purely a courtesy.
And Richard Riddler wrote giving some guarantees which you haven't mentioned.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a point of clarification based on my knowledge? Viridor gone through a significant management change. Is this a straightforward grant for Viridor, or is this an annual tax grant? Because depending which it is, it depends whether it still exists. Whether the government can claim it back.
It was originally set up under Entrust agreement.
Interest. Okay.
This is purely a courtesy. I don't mind if it's deferred. As I said, it's purely a courtesy to inform the builder. It doesn't cost us anything.
Need more of a courtesy to let council see the papers before we're coming to the meeting.
Can I please ask Chris a question?
Yes, why not? Yes.
Does that mean anything to you, Chris? An N-type agreement, and does that ring a bell?
Sorry?
Entrust.
N-trust agreement.
It was an organisation that was put together to oversee grants. It's all about whether it's land good tax, because all the rules and regulations have changed on that, and the government claiming all that money back. I mean, is it paid? Have you actually got the money, or is that just a promissory note?
But we've spent it, we've got the green.
No, I mean the grant.
We've spent it. We've got the green. 12 years
If
ago.
you've got
15 years ago.
a better position if you haven't.
It's 15 years ago, and they've closed their file on that.
It's not their part, it's the government, because it's elected taxation.
They administer it on behalf of the government.
Yeah, but then you won't actually administer it on behalf of the government through the land or through what's the contract.
Yeah, Environment Agency had nothing to do with this. It's just purely simply Viridor administer it on behalf of the Entrust. Listen, if you want to defer it, yes, it's okay.
I would suggest that we need more information and make sure that we're not leaving ourselves open for any claims in respect of what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. Okay, I'll withdraw that. And the last one, we'll bring that forward again, and we will dig out the Viridor details for you to see. What we've got. I mean, we've had.
Well, I'm not up to speed with Viridor and all the land tax requirements, and perhaps we could, with your permission, run it past Chris Blair if he knows about that.
You can, once you've got the information, you can ask.
Would that be alright with you, Chris?
I can make a phone call to the chief executive a couple of days if that helps. You'll soon tell me the risk of apology, though.
Thank you. I just don't want us to have a contingent down
No,
the road.
I agree.
That's fine. And the other one is this council resolves to approve the risk assessment for the assignment of the Village Green lease prepared on behalf of the Village Green Committee and to make it publicly available. Currently this is confidential, which is why it's not on the agenda, but this motion is to resolve to approve it and to make it publicly available.
Haven't seen it.
It's been circulating today.
What time? It was after about 6, so
No, it was before then. It was.
I haven't seen it, I think it's there.
This afternoon.
No, it's just sent round.
In your standing orders, you can't introduce a motion like that. It's not grounds for introducing a motion. Look at your standing orders.
What ramifications does it have to defer risk assessment?
It's better if it's approved.
I understand that. What if it is deferred? Does it have any implication on the economic statement and the allocation to the sports clubs?
17th of December, I'm sorry, I've already signed out.
Okay.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Have you got a post copy? But I think we need to approve it.
It's a couple of pages.
I don't need to see that.
Let you have a look. The reason it's taken some time is because we had a meeting with representatives of the Village Green Committee, had a meeting with the charity on some
HR gave us it's confidential. It was there. You must have heard that.
Okay. Can I have a proposal?
So, proposing what that we accepted.
Yes.
So
How
you're
can you do that when she
introducing
didn't
the
do
motion.
it?
That's not on the agenda.
It's under the agenda under further administrative requirements. No.
I haven't got a crystal ball and I haven't got my email on, so I have no idea what's in your brain when that is written on there. I can't prove something I haven't had a chance
Okay,
to see.
fine.
The question, has everybody read it? Have you both read it? Have you read it?
Yes.
I'm not saying that it's about, it's just like, have you had a chance to read it?
No.
No, okay. So it's
I've
important
got
that
it.
everybody has a chance.
Just
to
as I
read
picked the computer up tonight, I noticed it on there, so I printed it out. So I've got it, it's not confidential. So I brought it.
What time did you get it?
Hiding it.
What time did you get it?
I've got the email on here, it's 6 o'clock, it's 17:57.
6 o'clock this evening.
Yeah, just looked it through.
How can you vote on something where councillors didn't get it till 6
Excuse me,
o'clock
this
this
is our
evening?
meeting.
No.
This is our meeting. Please.
It depends if you want to spend 15 minutes now and have a read through, or if you want to defer. That's the question. I've read it. These two have read it. Do you want to spend 10 minutes and have a read through?
I'd like to read through, you know.
Yeah.
It's not much information. Be honest.
That's what it is. It's our meeting, so let's spend 10 minutes.
Should we have an adjournment for 10 minutes while it's read?
Exactly.
Yes.
You have
Are those in favour of an adjournment for 10 minutes?
I'm not in
Are you in
agreement
favour?
of voting on it when people
Are
have
you
read it.
in favour of an adjournment for 10
Yeah.
minutes?
Exactly.
Those in favour of an adjournment?
Yeah,